Hey, how's everybody doing? Welcome back to Ask That Podcast on YouTube. I've been wanting to do this video for a while, and I finally found the other thing I was looking for. Alright, back in the late 90s, Marvel was the first one. They came up with this line of trades called Marvel's Essentials. And in these, they put 20 to 25 issues in order, like, you know, X-Men 1 through 25, reprinted in black and white, and these nice trades like this for a fairly cheap price. Usually, I think they start at about 12 to 15 bucks, and by the end, they're probably about 20. Well, DC saw how well this was doing, because this is an easy way for people to get older runs. Yeah, they're black and white, but hey, you're getting stuff extremely cheap. And it's on newsprint. And these are a huge seller for Marvel. Well, DC's like, hey, this is doing good, so they came up with the Showcase Presents. Now, I have a huge amount of Marvel Essentials. I'm still trying to find out a couple of mine that I don't know where I place them. I'm going to do a big video on that. But this is going to be my DC Showcase Presents trade collection. And these are just in alphabetical order, not the order I got them. Because this is actually the last one of the run I got. And as of right now, as of film in 2020, both these lines, the DC and the Marvel lines, have been canceled. They haven't done them in a while. Marvel's going towards doing this stuff in color, which, yes, I know people would prefer color. Me being partially colorblind, black and white art does not bother me. And for as cheap as I was getting this stuff. So here's my first one. This is Dial H for Hero. This was a, what, 70s? 60s series? Yeah, mid-60s. And I'll flip it over back. This is the main character here. And he found this dial. And if he spelled hero, for y'all youngsters, back in the day, phones had a dial on them, like, I'll show you real quick. See that dial? You would, like, this number and drag it here and let go. So he dialed hero, and each time he became a different hero, it lasts for X amount of time, then his powers would disappear, and you have to do it again. This is probably one of the cheaper ones, because it's a thinner one, because this series didn't last long. This is the backup. Okay. Imagine, if you will, the most original character in comic history. Imagine, if you will, that with a simple spin of a strange dial from another dimension, you could become any number of fantastic superheroes. Meet Robbie Reed, the boy who could change into 1,000 superheroes just by dialing H-E-R-O. The only problem is he never knows which hero or what powers he'll possess. Giant Boy, the Human Bullet. Excuse me. Robbie Robot, even Plastic Man. Yes, DC used this to kind of reintroduce Plastic Man to a new audience, because Plastic Man was a faucet. No, he was quality. Whatever company Plastic Man was supposed to show back in the day went under. DC had the rights, but they hadn't reintroduced him. No matter what startling form he takes, Robbie Reed has the ability to tackle the criminals attacking Littleville. What if the dial ever falls in the wrong hands, and is the world prepared for Dial V for villain? Socka McGee! This volume, Socka McGee was Robbie Reed's like catchphrase. This volume collects stories from House of Mystery 156 to 173, written by David Wood and illustrated by Jim Mooney and others. And this was only $10. I got this at 5 Alarm Comics down in Biloxi, actually it's Iberville, I think. On their free comp days, I went in, and I always would go in and I'd buy like a cup. That before I started getting the compendiums of Walking Dead, I got like one of the Walking Dead, you know, trades. And I'd pick up some other trade and get some comics. Go spend the rest of my money in cheap ends, because I'd always budget out like $40 to spend on free comic day, and then I'd get a pile of free comics. I always take my cousins, 2 boys with me. They loved it. I got them a pile of comics, and I give them $10. We'll get in the cheap ends. Go get y'all some. This one I blew through quick, because it was just really fun. Get it about halfway. It's fairly standard artwork, fairly standard Silver Age silliness. The reason why I'm into Dial H for Hero is back in the, I think it was the 70s, late 70s, early 80s. It became one of the strips in Adventure Comics, and it was 2 kids, a guy and a girl, that found the dials, and they could change. And there was an evil, mysterious guy trying to get the dials from him. You found out later on it was Robbie Reed. He went crazy. But they had these dials, and I really loved it, because you could send in your own hero ideas, and they would use them and give you credit. Because I came up with a bunch. I had Bullet Boy was one. I had one, I called him the Living Target. He was invulnerable, and any projectile was fired, he could command it to hit him. Now, the Living Target, and not too long after that, DC came out with the Human Target. Different idea, but... And this was just a neat little series with, you know, Silver Age silliness from DC, and sometimes I enjoy the DC Silver Age silliness. And for all them people out there, oh, you know, he don't read DC. Yes, I do. I just don't read a lot of modern DC. But great little thing for $10. I got a pile of stuff now. This next one is probably, I'm pretty sure it's the first one of these I ever got. This is House of Secrets, Volume 1, over 5 pages of comics. Now we got Swamp Thing. And a lot of people don't know the... What's her name? Louise... Wheezy, is it Simonson? Shit, I can't remember her name now. That is actually her on the cover. Now this was DC's horror anthology title. There's no escape from the House of Secrets. Come on in and rest your weary bones. The place may be cluttered, but every dark and cobweb corner tells a tale. And there are enough spooky stories of shock and suspense you'll never want to leave, even if you could. Collecting 18 complete issues supervised by legendary editor Joe Orlando, this mammoth edition reprints The House of Secrets 81 through 98 and features tantalizing, terrifying horror for some of the comics' greatest masters, including Barry Wrightson, R.I.P., Alex Toth, I don't know if he's dead or not, Wally Wood, R.I.P., Neil Adams, Jim Aparo, R.I.P., Jack Sparling, and Sergio Aragonis. Yes, grew in the Margin cartoons in Mad. Sergio worked on this. Together, Fracture Fableson's renowned writers as Lynn Wein, Marv Wolfman, Jerry Conway, Gerard Conway, Jack Olick, and many others. Can you keep a secret? There's only one way to find out. $16.99, so $17. But look how, look how thick that is. I'm gonna put, look, the one in the back, it's like 3 times the size and the price wasn't much more. Now this one, I got it because I like horror anthology and there's always good stuff in this, and this was a gift. It's like a Christmas gift. Let's open it up. Really good reprint, and like I said, it is newsprint, so you know, I love newsprint personally. I prefer newsprint to any other paper comics been put on. Probably the paper I like almost as much as newsprint is that paper they were using on the Vertigo trades for quite a while, and when DC was using it on their 100-page giants, I love that quality of paper. This was a great one. This is one of those where, you know, I mentioned on here before, a bathroom read. This book sat on top of the hamper, the towel, and, you know, dirty clothes hamper in my bathroom for like a year. Because, you know, you go in there, you wake up in the morning, you know, you're half asleep. You want to start your day off right, so go in there, you brush your teeth, you sit down on the toilet, you know, make a number 2. Why not read you a short little comic? And that's what this was great for me. Okay, this is the one, was it Abel? Goldie, yeah, Abel. Cain and Abel in DC's thing. The House of Mystery was hosted by Cain. House of Secrets was hosted by Abel. And they reappeared, of course, years later in the Sandman series. That's one thing I got to give Neil Gaiman is he took all these kind of barely used, not used that much characters and made a great, you know, story around them. Now, yes, these are, you know, these are big, thick trades. You got to be careful. You know, you can damage them fairly easy. Only 25 cents, bigger and better. In the 60s, 25 cents was a lot, man. But just great little horror stories. Nightmare! As you see, some of these stories are really short, some are longer. Just so much really cool-ass artwork in this. I really love the living hell out of this book. Alright. Now, this next one, I'm pretty sure I got around the same time. This is the Unknown Soldier Showcase Presents. This is the volume 1. I think they've done 2 of these. Over 500 page of comics. Unknown Soldier, one of their war titles. He's a man who no one knows yet is known by everyone. He is the Unknown Soldier. $16.99. His face hideously disfigured by a grenade explosion in the early days of World War II in the Pacific. The young man who would become the Unknown Soldier was determined to continue fighting for his country. His true identity kept top secret. He became the perfect covert operative, using a multitude of disguises. The soldier traveled from his base in the Pentagon to battle to both the European and Pacific theaters operation, determined to be the one man in the right place who could make a difference. Hated and feared by Axis powers, his exploits became the stuff of legend and inspiration to America's greatest generation as they faced their greatest challenge. Friend of mine, a comics legend, Joe Kubert, this tribute to the enduring spirit of American armed forces collected Unknown Soldier's first 38 adventures written by such luminaries as Kubert, Archie Goodwin, Bob Haney, Robert Kanigher, Frank Robbins, and David Michelini, and drawn alongside Kubert himself by notables Jack Sparling, Jerry Telloak, and Dan Spiegel. This is one of those that started off in one of the DC war titles, I don't remember which, and transferred its own series and ran forever. This is one of those that, as a kid, I never saw it. But I had a friend of mine, his dad and my dad worked together. And I'd see this guy, he's a couple years old. I'd see him a couple times a year. He'd come spend some time with his dad because his parents were divorced. And he always raved about, man, Unknown Soldier, Unknown Soldier. So when I find issues, I grab them, read them, and trade them off to him. So when I started getting these, 1 year for Christmas, my family knows how I am. I'm kind of hard to buy for because you never know. You know, they know what I'm into, but they're like, I don't know, does he already have this? So I'd always set up a wish list. Well, in stock trades, which I'm not used in forever. 1 year for Christmas, my mother's like, look, here's your limit. Here's the credit card. Go get you some comics. So this is one of the ones I ordered because I was like, I want to read, in order. And, Unknown Soldier has been brought back. There's a Garth Ennis miniseries. I got the trade sitting out there in my living room right now. It's really good. Been brought back a couple of times. Let me see if it... Star Spangled War Stories in 1970s where it started. Remember, this is all Star Spangled War Stories. This covers 70 through 74. It was just great. And the thing about Unknown Soldier is he was a master of disguise, and the only way they could ever figure it out was him because his face was so horribly damaged by the explosion that when he put the fake face shit over it, and he also spoke 20 language, all this shit, he'd start itching every once in a while. So you'd see a character in the background scratching their face, and you're like, oh, that's the Unknown Soldier. And the thing about it is when the series ended, you thought Unknown Soldier died. They wrote him off, and then a couple panels later, they're showing a funeral, and there's a guy in the background scratching their face. I'll give DC this. I've never been real big on DC's 70s output. Their superhero stuff just does not appeal to me that much. But man, their other stuff, like the House of Secrets, the stuff from the 70s, Unknown Soldier, all their non-superhero stuff from the 70s was so good. And I think a lot of it's because the superhero stuff was selling so well, they had a lot of eyes on it, like corporate eyes, editorial eyes, watching it. They could get away with a lot more on these series. And I really think that the non-superhero stuff was actually aimed at an older market. Instead of being aimed at kids 10 and under, this was aimed at teenagers and young adults and people like my age that just love comics. Death Ride for the Unknown Soldier into the Hornet's Nest. Just a great little, a really cool little series. I'm pretty sure there's another volume of this. I need to get it because all these are out of print. Some of them are going for stupidly high prices now, which kind of sucks. As a matter of fact, let's look at. I'm gonna show you something. When they started off, these first two, the Green Lantern and the Superman, were $9.99 a piece, and through in-stock trades, they were $7 or $6 or $5. They're really cheap. So, 1 year for Christmas, my cousin's two boys got one of each. There's a Jonah Hex one, Metamorpho, which I've read. I don't own it. Elongated Man, Challenge, Haunted Tank, Phantom Stranger, Green Arrow, Teen Titans, House of Mystery. There's a Shazam one. That's the 70 series. It's just really cool. Something for the price. $17 for this big, thick volume. And then my last one, and one I definitely know went up in price. Speaking of 70s stuff, The Warlord. Of course, DC saw that, Marvel's had a huge hit on the hands with Conan the Barbarians. DC's like, we got to do one. And they were smart. They did one that was connected to their own universe. So let's flip it over to the back here. What we got? Into the Lost World of the Warlord. When Lieutenant Colonel Travis Morgan lost control of his plane over the North Pole, his struggle for survival began. Diving 800 miles beneath our Earth's crust, he emerged in Skartaris, land of eternal sunshine, where staying alive is the greatest challenge of all. Thrust into a world where danger is a part of every waking moment, Morgan is forced to revert to man's most primitive instincts. Hardened by battle against gladiators and savage beasts, Morgan becomes the Warlord, a ferocious warrior unequaled in combat who fights for this land's people against the evil rule of the High Priest Demonos. This is his epic tale. This volume collects first issue special number 1 and Warlord 1 through 28, written and illustrated by Mike Grell. So you got Mike Grell artwork. You got 29 issues in this for $17.99, $18. This one went out of print really quick and really fast. It was $20, $30. Because a lot of this early Warlord stuff has never been, as far as I know, reprinted. Anyway, just gorgeous ass. If you like sword and sorcery, Conan style stuff, and you like Mike Grell, this is just one of those series that more people should know about. And the weird thing is, I got a friend who lives in the Washington area, Washington State. She's a comic person, but her favorite comic of all time is Warlord. And I managed to track down quite a few issues and send her hey, I know she's on disability, doesn't have a lot of extra money, So I've sent her quite a few issues, and she loves getting in a package. She calls them Newt Crates. That's where the Newt Crate name came from. If y'all seen the video where JP, Jean-Paul LeBlanc, of Four Corners Photography, opened up a Newt Crate, that's what the Newt Crate name came from, because the first time I sent her one, she's like, oh, it's like a Loot Crate, but it's from you, so I'm going to call it a Newt Crate. I mean, I ain't really blowing a secret here that my name's Newt. I mean, Cody OL refers to me as Newt in the comments, Dale Roy, yeah. But yeah, it's great, gorgeous artwork to me. And I have some of these issues in here. I got them in the actual issue form in color, and to me, they look better in black and white. But also, you know, as I pointed out, I am partially colorblind. And Grell stayed on it for a long time. I think there is a second volume of Warlord. I'm not 100% sure on that. And Warlord even got his own toy line back in the day when He-Man was doing so well. Remco, let's see which ones are advertising in the back here. Remco got the Warlord license and made He-Man looking figures of the Warlord and his cast. Let's see, we got Jonah Hex, which is one of them. Enemy Ace, oh, that's such a great one. Haunted Tank, Sergeant Rock. Haunted Tank's one you ain't gonna see probably anymore. They did Booster Gold. They didn't remind us of, but you know, DC showcases. So, I mean, look at this. Cover price, this is what? 10, 17, that's 27. Another says 37 plus 7 is 44, and 18, that's 54. A little bit over 60 bucks, and look how much comics you got here, man. You know, when it came out, and I got most of these, besides that one from In Stock Trades, I didn't pay cover price. Just such a great thing. I wish they would do these again. I don't know why they stopped them. I don't know why Marvel stopped them. If anybody out there watching this that works at DC, bring back these showcase live, please. Or put these, even if you don't bring, put these back in print. Matter of fact, I mentioned Five Alarm Comics earlier. One of the first times I went in Five Alarm Comics, and I was picking up something. I don't remember what it was. I was talking to the owner, and at the time he had 2 young daughters, 8 and 5, 7 and 4, you know, fairly young. And somehow, you know, this is what he gave his kids to read comics, and they use them as coloring books. He goes, for students there, I don't care, you know. They're reading old classic comics, and it's just great stuff. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed it. If you did, remember, give me that thumbs up. You know, click that bell. You know, ring that bell to get notifications. You know, videos are Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then whenever I feel like putting stuff out. Besides that, and for comments, you know, what was from DC? What was your favorite DC title that came out that was not a superhero title? You know, so exclude, you know, Dial H for Hero, you know, like a horror title or war title or sword and sorcery title. They had westerns, you know, Jonah Hex and was Tomahawk and El Diablo and all that stuff. You know, I've come to realize that with DC, until about 80, besides a few series, most stuff I really enjoy from them is their non-superhero stuff. Talk to everybody later. Bye bye.